Hi, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jason.
And we are
Gamer Trade.
This is our show, Retro Reexamined, where one of us picks a game that we used to play as a child that the other has never played before.
And then the other one plays it and gets to experience it without nostalgia to influence their decisions.
This week, to start off our series, I chose to pick a game that is very near and dear to my heart, as well as a game that I don't think gets enough attention despite being part of a very popular series. It's Super Punch-Out!
Super.
Originally released for the Super Nintendo in the US in 1994, it is a direct sequel to the immensely popular title Punch-Out! For the NES.
Similar to the last game, the player is placed in the shoes of Little Mac, who for some reason has dyed his hair blonde in this game. The game handles as a behind-the-shoulder boxing simulator, and I use the word simulator loosely because this game is really cartoony, but really fantastic.
Featuring 16 fighters, you have to jab, dodge, and uppercut your way to the top, becoming the World Video Boxing Association champion.
One really neat fact about this game is that it has some solid voice acting for a Super Nintendo title. And all of that voice acting was done by none other than Charles Martinet, the voice actor for Mario.
Fight! Now, since I introduced the game, let me break down some of the game's mechanics. Just like its predecessor, this game is pretty difficult, but it does a fantastic job at teaching you its mechanics. The first fight is against one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise, almost entirely for his introduction.
Gabby J! Yay!
Every time I hear that, I laugh. And then I feel bad because I have to beat the crap out of this old French guy. There isn't much to say here. This fight is really simple, and it basically just exists to get you used to controlling Little Mac. After the first fight, you go on to face Bear Hugger, who, due to his weight, cannot be injured by body blows, forcing the player to learn how to punch the opponent's face. He blocks his face and immediately counters by bringing both arms in to punch your head. This attack cannot be dodged by pressing left or right, but instead has to be ducked. After this, he is finally open to a combo of punches by Little Mac. Now, some can argue that this is a pretty steep learning curve for just the second fight in the game, but this game only has 16 fighters, and they have to get you up to speed quick, or else the later ones couldn't be nearly as challenging and fun. The third fight against Piston Hurricane forces the player to learn how to block light attacks against their head and chest before finally facing off against Bald Bull, who is a reoccurring character in Punch-Out games. This fight uses everything you have learned up to this point, but introduces one more thing. Bald Bull has a one-hit knockout move to use on Little Mac, his famous Bull Charge. But if you can learn to punch him right before he lands it on you, you get an instant knockout on him. This mechanic is repeated a lot in later fights, and after this point in the game, a lot of the fighters have one-hit KO moves.
Pizza cake! Right on!
I don't want to spoil all of the characters in this game, since a large amount of this game's excitement is discovering the next set of fighters every time you clear a circuit, but I would be remiss to not mention just how great all of the characters are in this game. They really are what steals the show. From the incredibly narcissistic Narcissus Prince, who freaks out whenever you punch him in the face, to the extremely effeminate and hilarious Hike Kagero. They all are absolutely wonderful, and you really fall in love with them and their very different fighting styles. Except for Aaron Ryan. I hate that guy. Mac, why don't you give me a hug? Come here. No, that's okay, Aaron. No, stop, Aaron, no! I was just trying to hug you.
Fun fact about this game, this is actually the very first video game memory that I ever had. When I was probably 4 or 5, I was hanging out in my cul-de-sac as a kid, as you did in the 90s, and this older kid on the street who was probably maybe 10 at the time invited me into his house, and we went into the basement, and he pulled out his Super Nintendo, and he put in Super Punch-Out. Now, at the time, I know I probably had played video games. I remember my brother had a Genesis, but this guy was trying to teach me how to play this game. This game is really hard, especially for a 4-year-old kid. So I think I beat the first fight. I know I got destroyed on the second fight. And I felt bad because this guy was like, no, you just have to duck, and then counter. Come on, what are you doing? And I couldn't do it. So I think eventually he just got fed up and kicked me out. But later when I got older, these two really good friends of mine had the copy of the game, and we would always play it and try to beat each other's best times and just see how quickly we could blaze through it and who got the high score. And it was such a fun experience, like just hanging out over at their house and just playing this game. And now this game kind of falls into the place of like a stress reliever. I mean, at this point, like I can clear through the game in 20 minutes or something. And so if I'm having a rough day or just tired of playing whatever game I'm playing, I just pop this right in and there I go, and I instantly remember all the moves, remember all the counters, remember all the knockouts, and it's just a great game, and I hate that I think a lot of people look down on this game compared to the original Punch-Out, which is an unbelievably great classic game. Will always be an incredible game. But this was the first one that I played, and it just means a lot to me. I don't know. I just love this game.
This was the first Punch-Out game I have ever actually played. I didn't play the original one, and I didn't play the Wii remake. I've heard of Little Mac before as a boxer. He's a nice guy. But I hadn't played the games, and I never had a Super Nintendo. So this is the first time I got to delve into Super Punch-Out. What stood out to me in this game easily was the characters. As we mentioned earlier in the video, they all had their wacky quirks and their own different fighting styles, and I got beat up really, really badly. My favorite character in the game was the Mad Clown.
Mad Clown! Fight!
But he was Bear Hugger with makeup on, but he looked damn good. But Mad Clown also did this juggling move where I dodged it without even trying, and I felt like a boss. That was the biggest achievement I had exceeded in that game. And even though he whipped my ass, I had fun dodging his attacks, which proves to the game how good its mechanics are. Because not only can you have fun winning, you can still have a heck of a lot of good times losing as well.
So, what do you think? Would you give this game a recommendation?
I've played very little Super Nintendo games, having not grown up with them. Out of the ones I've played, this one far surpasses any other ones I have played, so it's a definite recommendation from me. The biggest thing about this game is I always criticized it because I thought it was really one-dimensional in its play, and I didn't understand how people could devote so much time to it. I always saw Punch-Out as just, oh wow, you can just punch one guy and beat one guy and only have 2 moves. Congrats. But this game proved to me that it has more than just 2 moves, and you can do things with like the opponent characters that I wouldn't have even guessed, like juggling balls, jumping off the sides of the boxing ring and attacking me and doing all kinds of cartwheel kicks, getting wrecked by a hurricane punch. All of these moves are included in this game, and it's shocking, and you have to really adapt right on the fly or else you are going to get annihilated. And it's the best time I've ever had getting beat up over and over again I'll ever experience.
Well, good.
Thank you so much for watching our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be coming out with some new material coming out very shortly.
And if you want to see some of that new material, we would appreciate it if you would leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Big on the subscribe, as it helps get us out farther on YouTube and gets more people to see our content, which is what we hope to achieve for this channel. So thank you very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed episode number 1.
Super Punch-Out.
Beat the cake!